What if the biggest decisions in your life were made long before you were old enough to understand them? It sounds strange, but it happens more often than most people think. Many people promise themselves they will never become like their parents. They say they will communicate better, spend money more wisely, or build happier relationships. Then, years later, they suddenly notice something uncomfortable. They are reacting in the same way. They are making the same mistakes. So why does this happen? The answer is not that people are weak or lazy. In fact, most people don't even realize they are repeating old patterns. As children, we learn by watching. We don't just listen to advice. We watch how adults solve problems, deal with stress, show love, or avoid difficult conversations. These experiences become normal to us, even when they are not healthy. That matters because these patterns can affect almost every part of your life. They can influence your friendships, your career, your family, and even the way you talk to yourself. If you never stop to question them, they can quietly guide your decisions for years. The good news is that patterns are powerful, but they are not permanent. But here's what nobody talks about. Repeating a parent's mistake doesn't always mean copying the exact behavior. Sometimes it looks completely different on the surface. Imagine a father who worked all the time and was rarely at home. His son grows up feeling lonely and promises that he will always put family first. Years later, the son spends every free minute with his children. That sounds like the opposite, doesn't it? But he becomes so afraid of work that he avoids new opportunities. He worries that success will take him away from his family. In the end, fear is still controlling his life. The behavior changed, but the hidden pattern stayed the same. Our first insight is simple. We often copy emotions more than actions. If your parents reacted to problems with anger, silence, or worry, you may learn that these are normal ways to respond. Even if you don't want to, your brain can choose the familiar reaction before you have time to think. Think about your own life for a second. Does this sound familiar? Have you ever said something and immediately thought, I sound exactly like my mother, or that was something my father always said? It can be surprising, even a little frightening. But it is also an important moment. You cannot change a pattern until you notice it. The second insight is that children usually care more about feeling safe than about finding the truth. If a child grows up in a home where people never talk about feelings, the child learns that silence is safe. If someone grows up hearing that money is always a problem, they may believe that financial stress is simply a normal part of adult life. I once heard about a woman named Emma. Every time she disagreed with her husband, she stopped speaking for hours. She wasn't trying to punish him. She honestly believed that staying quiet was the best way to avoid making things worse. Then one day her husband asked why she never shared her feelings. She suddenly remembered her childhood. Whenever her parents argued, everyone became silent for days. Without realizing it, she had learned that silence meant safety. And this is where most people get it completely wrong. They think understanding their childhood is enough. It helps, but awareness alone does not create change. You can know where a habit comes from and still repeat it tomorrow. Real change begins when you practice a different response many times. At first, it feels uncomfortable because your brain prefers what is familiar. Imagine learning to write with your other hand. It feels slow and strange. New habits are often like that. They require patience, not perfection. Here's the third insight. You are not only influenced by your parents. You are also influenced by the story you tell yourself about them. Some people spend years thinking, my family always fails, or people like us never succeed. These stories become invisible rules. They limit choices before anything has even happened. A young man grew up hearing that nobody in his family was good at business. When he had a chance to start a small company, he almost said no. Not because the idea was bad, but because he believed success was for other families. Luckily, a friend asked him one simple question: is that a fact, or is it just an old story? That question changed everything. He still felt afraid, but he stopped treating fear as proof that he should give up. Counterintuitive as it may sound, the goal is not to become completely different from your parents. Every family passes on good things as well as difficult ones. Maybe your parents taught you kindness, hard work, or loyalty. Those are gifts worth keeping. The challenge is to separate the helpful patterns from the harmful ones instead of accepting or rejecting everything. So what can you do today? Choose one situation that happens often in your life. Maybe it's an argument with your partner. Maybe it's stress at work. Maybe it's how you think about money. The next time it happens, pause for just a few seconds. Ask yourself one question: is this my choice, or is this an old habit speaking? You may not have the perfect answer right away. That's okay. The pause itself creates space for a new decision. Then try one small change. If you usually stay silent, say one honest sentence. If you normally get angry, take one deep breath before answering. If you always expect failure, ask yourself what evidence you actually have. Small changes may seem unimportant, but repeated over time, they create a different future. You don't have to fight your past every day. You only have to become more aware of the moments when it quietly tries to make today's decisions for you. Your childhood explains many things, but it does not have to decide everything. Every time you notice an old pattern and choose a better response, you prove something important. The story you inherited is not the only story you can live. And sometimes, one different choice today is enough to change what the next generation learns from you.